All right, it's Monday, week of homecoming. JJL's got a shout out to the. Well, we'll see.
I got to shout out to the class of 2020. It's all coming for you, boys. It's all coming for you.
Wow. Okay. All right. So there's in case something bad happens over the course of the next few days. He meant powder puff. He's talking about powder puff. Okay. Well, when cars get broken into tonight, we'll play back the recording and no, no. What are we gonna do about that? All right. All right. Today we talk zero product property. Solutions to polynomials by factoring. If A times B is equal to 0, if you have two things multiplied together that make 0, then you tell me something about them. Then either one of them 0. Then either A or B equals 0. Can you guys convince yourself of that statement? You multiply two things together and get 0, then one of the two must be equal to 0. And so when you're solving stuff like this, I want to be clear what people's kind of options are sometimes. So watch this. X squared minus 2x minus 15 equals 0. People go like this. X squared minus 2x equals 15 because they add the 15 over. Then they divide by negative 2. They x squared is negative 15 halves. Then they square root both sides. They say x equal to the square root of 15 over the square root of 2. Now, that's some math right there. It's voodoo math. It doesn't actually exist. There's that you can't do any of those steps. Okay. The way that you solve these type of pieces when you have a degree that's greater than 1. So notice here we have second degree. First of all, that tells us how many solutions. You're going to get 2 solutions. But second of all, you set it equal to 0 and you use the product property. You write it as a product. That's what factoring means, to write as a product. X times X. What are two numbers that multiply to negative 15 that add a negative 2? So I'll only do this once for effect. This is A. This is B. So either A is 0 or B is 0. So x minus 5 equals 0. Add the 5, x is equal to 5. X plus 3 equals 0. Subtract the 3, x is negative 3. Those are our 2 solutions. We knew we were going to get 2 solutions because you saw the x squared right away. What's different about the second example, letter B? There's a 5, so you have to make it equal to 0. 6x squared minus x minus 5 equals 0. That's an absolute must. We're only covering the 0 product property. There's nothing called the 5 product property. It's 0 product property. I'm pretty good at guess and check here. I'm going 6x and x. I'm going for it. No holding back this week, homecoming. 5 and 1. Throw the 5 there, throw the 1 here. We're going minus and plus. Does that give me negative x in the middle? Let's check. I've got 5x. I got negative 6x. That gives me my negative x. So that is correctly factored. If you didn't know how to do that method by guess and check, what other method could you use? Starts with an A, ends with a C. The AC method. Okay, so we got x minus 1 equals 0. So x is 1. And then you got 6x plus 5 is equal to 0. So a lot of times when people look at these, they write negative 5 right away, that's one of the solutions. Negative 5 is not one of the solutions. You subtract 5 and get 6x is negative 5, and divide by 6, x is negative 5 over 6. So 1 is a solution, so is negative 5 over 6. How is letter C different? It's cubed, so I have how many solutions? 3 solutions. That's called the fundamental theorem of algebra. The degree tells us the number of solutions. This doesn't look like the others for factoring. There's only 2 parts. How do you start factoring this one? How about I look for a greatest common factor? If I factor out an x, what are you left with? 4x squared minus 1. Does 4x squared minus 1 factor? What do you multiply to get 4x squared? 2x times 2x. And then to get negative 1, we got a negative 1 and a positive 1. Now it's completely factored. Now I look at my terms. Can somebody tell me what do you have here that would make 0? 2x plus 1 equals 0. If I solve that, what do you get for x? Negative 1/2. You subtract the 1 and divide by the 2. How about for 2x minus 1 is equal to 0? What are you going to get there? X is positive 1/2. Add the 1, divide by 2. Then you have another one here. It says x. X equals 0. So what is x? 0. There's my 3 solutions. This is the last example we're going to do together, and then you're going to try a couple on your own, and then we'll get to the worksheet. I must start here by getting everything on one side. X cubed, I'm going to subtract 2x squared from both sides. So I have a minus 2x squared. You can see I have a minus x, and then I'll add 2 to both sides. Very good. This is a grouping option. But I can't put the grouping symbols down right away. What do I have to do first? Why can't I put the grouping symbols down right away? What's in the way? Yeah, that negative sign right here. So I'm going to change it to plus a negative. Now I can put down my grouping symbols. What can you factor out of the first set? X squared. What are you left with? X minus 2. What can you factor out of the second set? Negative 1. X minus 2. What can you factor out of both sets now? An x minus 2. When you factor out the x minus 2, what are you left with? X squared minus 1. Hey, does x squared minus 1 factor? Yeah, I've got x minus 2 times x minus 1 times x plus 1. So what are your solutions? 2, 1, 2, 1, and negative 1. So you can see I knew there were 3 solutions right away. We've got these 3 sitting right there. What I want you guys to do is I want you to do these 4 problems. We're going to go over them together, and then I'll hand out your assignment, okay? Check out the different factoring options we have. See what you can do. We recognize that the first one is a trinomial, x minus 6, x plus 2. So your solutions are x equals 6 and negative 2. Any questions on that first one? Second one's not a trinomial. Hopefully you recognize it's the difference of 2 squares. X minus 3, x plus 3. So your solutions are 3 and negative 3. Next one's a little bit different. I don't like to factor with a negative x squared. What can you factor out? If you factor out a negative 1, you're left with x squared plus 8x plus 7. Never mind the negative, just leave it there. You get x plus 7 and x plus 1. Your solutions sit wherever the x's are. You can see that there's just going to be 2 solutions. One is here and one is here. X is negative 7 and negative 1. The negative does not constitute a solution out front. Again, there are only 2. They happen here and here. This one's different. It's not a trinomial. It's not the difference of 2 squares. It involves the greatest common factor. What's the factor you can take out? Take out x, you're left with x minus 11. So therefore, you have x is equal to, here it's 11, and this is a variable. It constitutes a solution. We have 0. And please note that you can always check your answers by plugging them back in. You plug this 6 back in, 36 minus 24 minus 12, is that equal to 0? Sure enough, it is. You can always check to see if it works out, okay? We'll end that lesson there. I do have an answer key provided already, ready to go.